Welcome to Raising the Bar podcast,
sponsored by the Ashmore Law Firm.
We're your hosts and siblings,
Gary Ashmore
and Lori Ashmore Peters.
Subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Welcome to our Raising the Bar podcast. You're going to love this episode, hosted by myself, Gary Ashmore, and my sibling,
Lori Ashmore Peters.
Sponsored by the Ashmore Law Firm. And introduce our guest.
Okay, I will.
Thank you.
We're loving having Dr. Mark Blankenship,
Hi,
known as Dr. Mark, at Mend Chiropractic.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow, so what did you say, bend? If you can't bend, go to mend.
Yeah.
Is that y'all's slogan?
It should be.
Wow.
It should be.
Right?
Oh,
You may have just created it.
if you can't bend, go to mend. You can use that.
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
what we were talking about before the podcast,
Right. Every time they use it.
what we were talking about the podcast is I have had chiropractic care. My sibling and co-host over here hasn't. And I explained that if he ever had chiropractic care, he would probably break. So I think our next time we do a podcast with Dr. Mark, it will have to be on location. And I challenge my co-host to be on the table for chiropractic care while we have our live podcast.
So I will get all of my estate planning affairs in order, and I will admit to this and just know that may be the end of me co-hosting Raising the Bar podcast.
I'll tell you
Go
this.
ahead.
This is my joke that I tell patients that I see for the first time is, I'm not Rambo, right? I'm not going to take it takes an incredible amount of pressure to do something like that. But I will be gentle, I promise.
Okay. All
He
right.
won't break you.
All right. We'll see. All right. Challenge accepted.
So as we were all, Gary, God bless him, when we were younger and we would lay out by the pool and he would lay on his stomach and his head would just be perched over the end of the whatever it is. And I'd be like, dude, what the hell are you doing? And he's like, well, I'm laying out to get sun on my back. Like, put your neck to the side. He can't.
Yeah, he can. You got to get that mobility back to normal.
See, thank you.
So just to follow up, I actually looked for a lounge chair that would be poolside that had a hole in the middle. 'Cause I thought that would be the greatest thing in the world. Because I've seen how chiropractors and physical therapists work. You stick your head in a hole, and your neck stays aligned, and it's perfect.
Oh, my
You know what? Maybe I should invent that for lounging at the
Listen,
pool.
if you do, I'll help you market it. I will help you
will
market
buy
it.
it.
I'm in for that.
Okay, so that's not normal,
Of
right?
course, no.
Okay.
Wait, it's not?
It's not normal, no. And I would
true.
assume the older he gets, the worse it's going to get.
Correct.
So
yeah.
pretty soon, your range of motion is just going to be right here.
Our bodies are designed
Well, I
to
do
move.
this. Hold on. I can do
No,
this.
okay, so our bodies are designed to move. So
Yeah.
please explain that to my co-host and to everyone watching.
Yeah, so our bodies are designed to move. So basically, you want to have that restorative range of motion. A big thing that we see is we see a lot of people that have tech neck now. You sit at a computer all day,
right.
your forward head like this. That's not how we were programmed. Our bodies are meant to be moving around. So a couple of tips I give people, if you're going to be at a desk all day, set an alarm, try to get up every hour. Even if you don't need the bathroom, just act like it. It just resets your hips, different things like that, but you're meant to move throughout the day. Another one, like sit-stand desk. I get this all the time. People are just standing all day long. It's just as bad for your back as sitting all day long.
Okay.
So I wish they'd put this on the products. I'm not sure why they don't, but it's actually a ratio. So every hour you are sitting, it's 20 minutes of standing. So you should be changing position throughout the day. The idea is that you're moving all day long. So
Right.
you need that. That's going to help you restore kind of your normal range of motion. So if you can't get there with your neck, it's just going to continue to get worse. You're going to get degeneration, and you're not going to be able to get that range of motion back. So
Do you hear that?
I do. I need to regentrify my neck.
Well, but here's what I'm going to tell
how
you.
that
So
works?
that's why you can never sit in this spot of our podcast because you can't turn your neck.
Oh yeah, no.
talk. I
that'd
mean,
be-
you would
right.
have to
I'd
be
moving
turning.
like this. Right, that's a problem.
the physical reason. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I can be bendy when I need to. It's okay.
Okay, so where do we find you guys? Where is Mend Chiropractic?
Yeah, so we're in Park Cities. We're right next to the Preston Center. So off Sherry Lane, 6039 Sherry Lane. We're right right next to a bunch of dentist offices, Pilates, basically that Luther Lane where they have all those restaurants and stuff like that. We're right in that area right there, right next to it.
All right.
Okay, so I knew Dr. Blackwell before, long time ago, going back maybe 25 years ago.
You never went to a chiropractor.
I didn't.
He's a well-known guy, apparently.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was a legal issue, not a bad thing, but I worked with him briefly, and so yes, I knew Dr. Blackwell, and I think when you had let me know that you were going to see at that location, I said, no, it's Dr. Blackwell's office. She said, no, a group bought him out, and it's called Men Chiropractic now.
Yeah.
So how'd that come to be?
So Dr. Graham, one of my partners, he purchased it from Dr. Blackwell in 2017.
Okay.
We kept it as Blackwell Chiropractic for a while. I will say this, Dr. Blackwell was really, really old into his practice. He was like in his 90s still practicing.
Oh, wow.
So that office has always been a chiropractic clinic since like the 60s or something like that. And it's always been his. So, and I mean, he would still come hang out at the office apparently after it was bought and just kind of like still hang out and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. But so my last name is Blankenship. So there's some similarity, right? Like Blackwell, Blankenship.
Right.
A lot of people kept thinking I was Dr. Blackwell, and it started to become a little bit of a problem. So I was like, okay, we've got to change the name.
Right. Okay.
So I joined in 2020. I became co-owner as well as my other business partner, Dr. Matt. He joined shortly after me. And then in 22, we changed the name to Mend. And just wanted to keep it simple, one word. And then we really liked the definition, which is like to heal.
Right, of course.
So again, if you can't bend, go to Mend.
Exactly.
There we go. All right.
So how did you get into chiropractic care?
Yeah, so I was, interestingly enough, to your point, I was very anti-chiropractic growing up. It was interesting, my journey to it. I was in athletic training as an undergrad.
Are you from Dallas?
I'm from Lafayette, Louisiana, actually.
Okay.
I'm from
Louisiana.
Cajun country.
Okay.
got
So
it.
my name is Blankenship, but I am Cajun.
Okay.
My mom's maiden name is LeBlanc. So
there we go.
Very
Okay.
much have the French influence. But yeah, so I grew up in South Louisiana. I did athletic training. I realized probably by year 3 into that program that's not what I wanted to do for a career, but I was kind of too late to switch majors. That would have put me back a year.
Okay.
So I started thinking more along the lines of physical therapy. And I ended up working at a physical therapist hospital, a PT inpatient rehab hospital, where I did physical therapy, occupational therapy for about 3.5 years. And it wasn't until my girlfriend, who's now my wife at the time, pushed me to do something else. Because I am the type, I will get very comfortable in my situation. I will suck it up, not make a lot of money, and just like keep doing what I'm doing. And she pushed me. Ended up, I asked for a raise, didn't get it after working there for 4 years.
Right.
I worked in outpatient clinics as well with PT. So that was my wheelhouse.
Where'd you do undergrad?
University of Louisiana Lafayette, the Raging Cajuns.
So not LSU.
Yeah. No,
Anything
not
like
LSU.
that. Okay.
I am an LSU
Okay.
fan, but no, not LSU.
Okay.
But yeah, then I basically...
Is that where Waterboy went to school or worked? Wasn't it?
That's what they make fun of, yeah. But no, that was a fake university, but yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so I basically started working for a chiropractor. I made a lot more money, and one thing I noticed, I used to get bronchitis like pretty bad every year for like 5 years in a row. And the only thing that kind of like was different that I didn't get sick that year that I was working for him, and the only thing that I did differently was get adjusted. And I kind of asked him, I was like, so like what's the deal, like like I'm curious, like would this be affecting that? And he was like, well, here's the thing, and kind of backtrack a little bit. I took x-rays at the office. I'd never had x-rays before. I had old fractures in my back from when I played football in high school.
Oh, okay.
And you can see that they were old and healed and stuff, but I've always had back pain. And that's something
But never knew they were fractured.
No, never knew.
Wow.
I had weird pains, and I grew up in the era of like suck it up,
Yep.
like
That's
it doesn't
it.
hurt or whatever,
Okay.
which does not like it that anymore, but still. But I had these issues, didn't know it until I went to the chiropractor. And then basically whenever he saw that, and he was like, how's your back pain been since you've been working here? Because I was getting adjusted like once a week. And he was like, oh yeah, like I don't really have it anymore. And he was like, well, if your body's not focusing on trying to, work with that stuff, it kind of has the ability to defend itself better. Like, you could focus on your immune system, stuff like that. And I started becoming just healthier in general because I was getting back into exercise because I wasn't in pain. So it just kind of, all that stuff kind of compounds, and it just kind of made sense to me. And I was like, okay. So then at that point, I was trying to go to PT school. I realized that was going to take me like an extra 4 years to get going in that. And just went ahead and applied to chiropractic school that the doctor I worked for went to, got in, and then, it's a 4-year doctorate program. And then whenever I was done, it basically saved me a year, and then and not having to worry about if I'm going to get into PT school or not. And then that was it.
Wow.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's great. So it's a DC, direct...
Doctor of Chiropractic.
Doctor of Chiropractic,
DC.
yeah, okay, got it.
It is a doctorate. A lot of people don't think so. For some reason, they think it's like equivalent to massage therapy.
No.
It's like
a real thing.
It's
I went
legit.
to school a long time.
Right.
That's exactly right.
Well, I'm glad you went to school a long
Yeah,
time
of
when you
course.
have my neck and you're like, I'm just going to twist it.
Right,
It's
that's
like,
right.
you're going to do what?
Yeah, and people get scared about that all the time. I always tell people too, like, I don't have to do that. Like, there's other things we can do. Like, we have different techniques for stuff. Some people, like, I'm not going to rack and crack a baby, right? Like, that's just not that's not how we adjust little children.
Do you do chiropractic care on babies?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I'm actually prenatal and postnatal certified.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we do a Webster technique. It's a highly researched technique for moms, and basically the Webster technique research shows that women that get this adjustment kind of leading up to birth have better birthing outcomes.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah, and all of the
cool.
chiropractors in our office are prenatal certified with Webster technique.
I never
Okay.
would have thought that.
Babies, so adjusting a baby is the equivalent of what you would put pressure on a tomato without breaking the skin. That's how you adjust, because they're
Okay.
so mobile. Like
Yeah,
you really
you don't
really
realize
don't
it.
have to do much. Like I'm just putting a direction in the right, putting pressure in the right direction, and their body does it for themselves.
Right.
It's funny. I was adjusting a 7-month-old yesterday, and mom was saying like having trouble sleeping, having trouble going to the bathroom, and so we have these like pillows, and they fit in it like a cocoon. And I just kind of put my hands underneath and let gravity do the work, really.
Right.
And I kind of feel the baby kind of squirming into its spot, like wanting to, and they cry, stop. And then shortly after that, time to go change the diaper.
Wow.
It's weird. Stuff like that, like your body, if it's out of whack and, it's having to deal with other things, once you clear that up.
Okay, wait, that's what I
can
need.
you do that? Wait, hold on. Can you do that for adults?
Oh, yeah.
Like if I'm
People
having a
don't-
hard time going to the bathroom, I can
Pillow?
come see
No,
you.
I'm not worried about the bathroom.
No,
I just
I'm
want
worried about the bathroom.
I just want a pillow where I can relax and fall asleep like a
can do that
cocoon.
too.
I'll do that.
Yeah, you can do
No,
that too.
I am worried about if someone has a hard time going to the bathroom, can you help them go?
I cannot claim that, right? Like as a professional, but I will say that like there are times where I adjust someone and they're going to the bathroom after. It's just part of it, like that's like if there's a muscle, and if you talk to a physical therapist, they'll tell you about this, the psoas, which is your primary hip flexor. Sometimes that's really tight, and that's really close to a lot of like your organs and intestines. If you release that muscle, it kind of like things open up down
Everything
there, and it's like, all
relaxes.
right, time to go. Yeah.
Okay, so
there you go.
we may have to edit this part. So
It's a little TMI sometimes.
For those of us that, have a problem, I can't just jump in so when we would go water skiing every weekend, I would tell my brother.
I don't even know if I can do a disclaimer for my co-host.
I would have to
My
tell
sister.
my other
Go ahead.
brother we have to go to the shore, and he's like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Well, I have to go to the bathroom." And
You
he's
jar
like,
something loose,
"There's a lake. Jump in." And it's like, I can't. So we would have to pack everything up. We would have to go to the shore. So you're telling me perhaps, maybe, if I would get regular chiropractic care, that wouldn't be a problem.
Perhaps. I will say perhaps.
I think she has PTSD peeing in a lake, but that's okay.
I can't. I'm sorry. There's just certain things where I have to draw the line.
You have your own little reservations of where your limit is.
Where
right?
your limit
Right,
is.
that's
Okay,
right.
so I do have a question. You've got, I'm sure you see some really big guys.
Mm-hmm.
Are they, you mentioned you wouldn't break him when
Right.
he comes to see you, because you can be very gentle. But when you see like a really big guy coming through the door, is that a problem, or
No.
are they just as easy to adjust?
You'd be surprised. Like I mean, I see some pro athletes, like huge guys like that too. I see some, bigger in the other sense people. Everyone has different mobilities. Everybody kind of moves differently. Some people like that. I get these guys that they're going to their chiropractor with their sports team, and they're like they kind of lay in me too hard sometimes, and really like you'd be surprised. Like not much to kind of get it to move, but everybody's different. So it takes me learning their body a little bit too.
Right.
Some people, it feels like I'm dropping into a brick wall. I have to give it more force, right? But that's not what I'm doing on my first try. Right?
Okay.
I'm getting a feel for it first. Sometimes it takes like 2 or 3 before I kind of get it to break loose. I like to reference, it's like we're knocking rust off the bolt, so to speak sometimes. Sometimes it's not, I'm not going to get it on that first adjustment. It takes a couple more before your body's ready to kind of actually get it to release.
Right.
Number one thing is you have to be able to relax. And if you can't relax, it's going to hurt. So I just
Okay.
tell people, like I trick people all day long. Like I'll make them wiggle their toes and do all these little techniques, but size is not a big difference for
Okay.
me. It actually, the only thing is if they're like pretty wide, I will have to lower that table pretty low and kind of it
in.
takes
Get
a
on
little
top
more
of it. Right.
acrobats for
Right.
me,
Of
to
course.
get it to go. But other than that, I've never really had issues.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So relaxing. Do y'all have like tequila there so that you can say,
That's
let
what
me
you
give
need.
you a quick shot. We'll come back to you in about 10, 15
No, we have
minutes.
CBD.
Oh, okay.
That
Okay,
might
that
work.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Might do it.
Yeah.
So CBD, does that really work?
So there's research about inflammation in CBD that's actually really good research. It's constantly still being researched. I'll tell you this, it's the wild, wild west right now. You really need to understand where you're getting it from.
Okay.
I have a company that's actually local. They're out of, I think they just moved to Crum, Texas. It's called Nature CBD. And they actually let me go to the lab and watch their process. So that to me,
That
that's
says a lot.
ultimate transparency.
Yeah.
Right.
They're third party lab tested. Their QR code for their products is on the product showing the lab test.
Oh, okay.
So I just tell people, trust your own research. If you're going to do stuff like that, like there is good research behind inflammation and stuff like that, but they can be snaky, like
Right.
make sure that you're getting an actual good product. And so I vetted a couple of companies. I'll tell you, there was another local company here that I was talking to whenever I was getting into like, what do I want to carry in my office and stuff like that. And they had a QR code and it just goes to their website. And I was like, hey, like, what, where's your lab results? And I was going between these two, right? Basically.
Right.
And the rep actually said like, we don't do lab results. We get our batches made twice a year from China. And I was like,
Oh, no.
all right,
No
thank you for your
thanks.
business. So I was like, nope. I would rather keep it local, be able to actually go to the facility,
Right.
look at what they're doing, like stuff like that. Just, you got to be careful.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
It is.
Okay, so craziest story that you have.
From chiropractic. So it's not really a crazy story, but I'll tell you like, from a funny perspective, I get farted on probably like once a month.
Oh, wow.
At least.
Oh, my gosh.
It's just something, and I try to tell people like, please don't feel bad, don't feel embarrassed. Like this happens a lot more than you think.
Oh, wow.
Like, stuff like that. But yeah, from a funny perspective,
Yeah, of
it's that.
course.
From a reality perspective, I get people that have crazy symptoms. They come in and we're like their last resort.
Yeah.
They've already had surgeries, they've already had these things. And one of them was this gentleman. He was kind of a little bit older, a little bit overweight, and he was trying to get into exercising. And he just couldn't go longer than 10, 20 minutes. He's actually a garbage man for the city of Dallas.
Okay.
And I was like, what do you want your goals to be like from seeing me? Like, obviously I'm not a PT. I'm not going to tell you like exercises. Like, I'm just going to get you back to normal to where you feel like you can do things without pain. He was like, I just want to be able to walk 30 minutes without any pain. Oh, wow. So I adjusted him. We did some spinal decompression. Obviously he has a lot of wear and tear being a garbage man. His back is just tore up, And next time he comes in, I tell him, just come in a week. I just want to see kind of how you did. Comes back. He was like, started that day, 30 minutes every single day. And then he's a patient of mine now for 3 years.
Wow.
And
Okay.
every day, I saw him yesterday actually.
Right.
And same thing. I was like, so how you doing? He was like, I'm still walking. He was like, I'm up to 45 minutes now. and he's losing some weight, so he's able to like get that confidence back. But he was just like, I just noticed when I don't come here, I feel it. And I was
Right.
like, all right.
Oh,
Well, you know
wow.
your body better than me. Like, just come in when you need to get those adjustments. So.
That's
So
great.
who your oldest patient?
Oldest patient that I have treated was he has since passed, but the oldest I have ever adjusted was 99.
Wow.
Really?
We do not rack and crack a 99-year-old person.
No.
They have
Not.
osteoporosis, they have osteopenia, they have degeneration all up and down their spine. I use this tool called an activator, and it's just like a little impulse. And basically, we're just getting things to move that are not moving. I'll do a lot of like myofascial release on them, do some stretching of the muscles and stuff like that. But yeah, oldest 99, youngest 1 day old. Yeah. My daughter.
Wow. Oh, your daughter.
Wow.
Okay, got
Probably
it.
1 hour old, really. Like just right after the trauma of birth, just let's make sure you're good,
Right.
something like that. So
That's cool.
That's amazing.
Okay, so on the business side of it, how do chiropractors typically, excuse me, charge, bill? Is it hourly?
Yeah.
Do you tip a chiropractor? Do you not? I mean, just
generally speaking, we don't expect a tip. I
Okay.
have people try to tip me all the time, and I just tell them no. Like massage therapy, yes. Like you could tip the massage therapy. We don't accept the tips usually. As far as it's different depending on where you go to. Some take insurance, some do not. We do not.
Okay.
We do a couple of treatments that are not accepted by insurance. So for us, instead of trying to go through the bureaucracy of all that, it's easier for us to just kind of charge flat rates.
Right.
Shockwave therapy, cold laser therapy, those are just not up to insurance right now. Like they're becoming more popular, and you're seeing that more often. But insurance just doesn't cover it. And if I'm going to offer treatments that aren't covered by insurance, it would be a lot more convoluted for me to try to do insurance and do that as well.
Right. Okay.
We do a membership program. So you can either do our membership and get discounted rates on everything in the office, which was massage therapy, infrared sauna, chiropractic, all that stuff. Or you can just pay as you go, and you just pay our fees, and it's basically just a little bit more expensive. And then we also do pack visits. So you can prepay if you want a discount, but you don't want to get on a membership and have an auto charge. So
Right.
ours is like Netflix, where it's $24.99 a month. It is a family membership, so more than one person in the household can be on the same membership. But if you wanted a discount, but you didn't want to pay the auto charge, then we can prepay 5 visits, get $10 off each visit, something like that.
Something like that, okay.
We have a couple of options.
But is it an hourly rate? I mean, you're $200 an hour.
For me, like what I get paid
Yeah. Well,
with salary.
hold on, I'm dying over here. I need to get adjusted. Okay. No, I'm good.
No,
right.
the salary for me, obviously as the business owner, it's a little bit different, but typically it is salary rate.
No. Okay. Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm asking. So if I want to come see you or any one of your folks in your office, well, first, how many in your office?
So in our office specifically, we have 4 chiropractors.
Okay.
I have a office manager, and then we have 2 massage therapists.
Okay.
So
So if I want to come see a chiropractor and I say, what are you going to charge me? What's the rate?
So non-member for first visit, right?
Right.
So if we're doing an exam consultation, I usually do an extra treatment as well, shockwave complimentary on the first visit, or
Okay.
cold laser, whatever it kind of warrants in the exam. We do dry needling as well, so all those things kind of go into it. It's $125.
Okay.
And then from there, then you have the avenues of membership rates or non-membership rates.
Okay.
So
So if I'm-
normally $60 a visit if you're non-member,
Oh, okay.
$35 a visit if you're a member.
There we go. Okay, that's what I was asking. So $60 a visit.
Yeah.
And that may be 5 minutes or it may be 45 minutes.
So our services always include spinal decompression, because
Okay.
we have some gentle units that you can do on just about everyone. I even do it on pregnant ladies. That is included with the chiropractic visit. Also,
Okay.
a little bit of soft tissue work included with the visit. That's the benefit of us being a cash practice, is I don't have
Right.
insurance kind of telling me what to do in my visit. So I can really just kind of do what's best for the patient.
Okay.
So I'll do muscle work. I'll do a little bit of that in the chiropractic visit. We also offer, and basically we call it a chirofacial, and it's an extended visit where we do an additional 10 minutes of muscle work. So they schedule that appointment out. But really for people that are just so tight that they just can't get loose for the adjustment, I'll do that. And it's just 15 minutes of muscle work, an adjustment, and spinal decompression at the end of the visit.
And that's part of the 60 or the 30 or whatever
Correct.
that rate is.
So the chiropractic, because it's basically a double visit, it's double the price for that.
Okay.
But on the member rate, it is discounted. On the non-member rate,
Right.
it is not.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a lot on our menu, basically, but that's the gist of it.
And if someone wants to get an invoice for that, will y'all put codes on there? So if they want to submit it themselves to their insurance
Yeah.
and see if they'll cover it, they can do that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We give
Okay.
them the option to get their entire care history if they want. Like we put treatment notes at the end of the day.
Right.
We can send them that if they want. Like they
Okay.
can submit anything to insurance and they can likely either get reimbursed. Sometimes insurance you have to fight them to do that.
No, of course.
So-
Right. But you let them do that. You don't want to mess
Exactly.
with them. Of course.
I would rather not deal with it. Anytime you deal with insurance, you're adding a lot of overhead because I basically would have to hire someone just to talk to insurance
Yeah.
all day long.
Yeah.
You know.
No, it's a headache.
You mean you don't want to do that?
I want to go home and not have to worry about it.
All right. So what is you said shock wave?
Shockwave therapy, yeah. So it's actually not electrical at all. It is a sound wave, and we're seeing it more in a few different other clinics, like podiatrists. They'll do it for plantar fasciitis, but it's basically an acoustic wave. It looks like ultrasound for pregnancy almost, except
Right.
it is not like that at all. But it's a mechanical wave that breaks up scar tissue and tight tissue underneath the skin. So I like to do it, especially if you come in with back pain. I like to do it on that lower back, and it kind of breaks that tight tissue up. People
Right.
feel it immediately. Like
Okay.
it's one of those things where it still works for 72 hours too. So after you do the treatment, you might feel loose, and then the next day you feel even better. The next day you feel even better. So it's one of those
Right.
that kind of compounds on itself. It's a really good treatment. I do it for probably just about every new patient. I will have them do one of those. I do it. I've done it. Another cool story for Shockwave. How about that?
Okay.
I had a gentleman who had multiple rotator cuff surgeries and almost like a full shoulder replacement surgery. He was coming into town from one of his son-in-law comes in regularly, and he was just coming in from Port Aransas, and he was like, yeah, like I've been having frozen shoulder. Couldn't go past this for like 3 years. And I was like, okay, well, like, let's do a chiropractic visit. Let me examine you, see what's going on. I determined that he had, 2 or 3 rotator cuffs that were just really locked up. I was like, I'd like to try some shockwave on it and see if we can break some of the scar tissue from your surgeries and all these injuries you've had up. So I do the treatment. It takes about 10 minutes. Okay, it's not very long.
Right.
And he gets up off the table, and you have to take your shirt off. I have to get on the skin and stuff. And I'm like, oh, how do you feel? And he's like, yeah, it feels pretty good. And then he puts his shirt on and he just starts crying. And I'm like, are you okay? Like, what is going on? And he was like, I haven't been able to put my shirt on like this in 3 years. And he just had full range of motion right out the gates.
Wow.
So, and then
Nice.
he came in probably like 2 more times before he went back home, got it done again just to make sure. And then haven't seen him since. I taltalked to the son-in-law and he was like, yeah, he's fine, man. He has no problems.
Oh,
So it's
great.
pretty,
man.
pretty
those are
incredible stories that we see like that all the
course.
time, It's pretty cool.
Right.
All right,
That's
I'm sorry. We're taking a field trip. I mean, everything he can fix you. He can
be fixed.
fix you.
Talk about the corporate stuff.
Oh yeah, so we do have a corporate membership as well. So
Okay.
right now we do have it
Oh,
set
that's what you're looking at.
we
Go ahead.
have it set at $99 a month, and basically there's no limit to how many employees right now. Obviously, as we get bigger, that might change, right? But
Right.
all the employees in the office get a free family membership. Like the business pays the $99, and everyone in the office, everybody, all the coworkers and their families get membership rates. Basically,
Okay.
They got to do the initial visit, the $125, but after that, then they're down to the $35 adjustment if they come back in and stuff like that. And we've had several companies, especially like right around the Preston Center, that because they're walking distance, they just come
Right.
in during lunch and stuff like
Right.
that have signed up for that, and now I'm starting to see like the 7-month-old that was a product of the corporate membership. So
Okay.
it's pretty cool to see like kind of that grow, like watching kids grow up basically,
Right.
essentially with that. But yeah, it's just basically instead of the family membership, it's just an employee membership basically for a company.
So, what sets you guys apart from all of these other
Yeah, I'd say like
chiropractic companies? I guess.
I'd say like for us, it's our approach of it being more family oriented for sure. Not to say there are chiropractors that are family oriented, but they just don't have all the tools that we have in an office. We just opened another location in Allen, and in a couple months we're going to be opening a Grapevine, what we call express locations, where it's just chiropractic. So like the Allen location's inside of a fitness gym right there on off of 75. And then the Grapevine location will be in downtown Grapevine. So it's pretty cool.
Nice.
Like
Okay.
I'm really
of course.
excited because like Christmas and Grapevine, you know.
Oh, yeah.
all
Of
that
course.
stuff. But yeah, they're just one room, just chiropractic, shockwave, dry needling, those 3 services. But it gives us an opportunity to get people out of school that maybe can't, you know, if they wanted to start their own clinic, but they don't have the money to do a full big clinic, they can just work, build their little clientele, and then get to that point within our company if they would want to.
Right.
But the biggest thing is our approach to care. We're laid back. I'm not going to give you like 3 times a week for 2 weeks and think that that's just going to solve the issues. Like I like to reassess every time you come in. Like what was different? Was it positive? Was it negative? If it's negative, let's change what we're doing.
Right.
If it's positive, let's rinse and repeat, you know, like until things just kind of subside. But I think a lot of our profession has gotten into this like salesman type of stuff and less about like the actual individual in front of you. And to me, my morals, like if you're going to do right by people and do what they need and not do a bunch of extra stuff and just kind of like do that, that's going to pay back tenfold for you.
Right.
You know, as far as that
Right.
goes.
And we have that same philosophy. I mean, there's plenty of lawyers out there. All they're looking at is the bottom line and how can they make a buck. And it just you lose the client relationship, and there's no relationship.
There's some humility there, right? Like you have
Correct.
to you have to kind of eat it in the beginning, right? Like,
Right, of course.
You're not just going to be busy right away. You got to kind of build yourself up, but you make those real connections, and
Right.
they pay back. You know, like
Right.
they didn't word of mouth, snowball effect. You start to get people that you know refer you from 4 different families, and then all of a sudden your practice is thriving or your
Right.
business is thriving.
Right.
I feel like if you build on good principles, it pays back for you.
So, do you get a point with some clients that you just can't fix them, or they're not getting relief, and it's like, yes, you need surgery, or yes, you need to go see a doctor, or yes, you need to. I mean, what?
Absolutely, yeah.
Because you're helping assess that.
I have good relationships with medical doctors. I think a lot of people think chiropractic and MDs are like against each other. That was maybe like the old school philosophy, and
Right.
and maybe that yes, there may be some of that still going on. In my experience, it's good to if you get in a car accident and something impales you, don't come to me for an assessment. Right? Like there's a time and place for things. And same thing, like I have a PT type of background. Like I have some of my best friends are physical therapists, you know, like I have good relationships with them. I think what happens is people try to kind of step outside their box in a way. We
Right.
focus on just the chiropractic. Like I'm not trying to do corrective exercises. Like I'm not the person you want to go to if you just had shoulder surgery. Go to a physical therapist.
Right.
They
There
went
we
to
go.
school for that, you
Yeah.
know, like and I think a lot of times there's too much toe stepping going on. And I think there's a lot of respect that you can get from other professionals if you just kind of stay in your lane and, you know, refer when it's appropriate. You know,
Right, okay.
There are times where I have my MD will refer to me. People are having like, they're kind of on a wait list for surgery and then we get them better and they don't need the surgery. Well,
Yeah.
he's fine with that.
Right.
He doesn't care. The patient is better, right? Like
Right.
that's what it comes down to. So.
Right.
But yeah, there's a time and place. There's a time and place for it. What I like to see is people try to do some conservative stuff first. Don't just go to an ortho that just wants to cut on you right away. Like
Yeah.
unless it's like really bad, that's usually you can try some things first. And they shouldn't be doing that. And now they're teaching orthos to go do like, let's do some steroids first. Let's do some physical therapy first. Like that's a good orthopedic right there.
Right.
So yeah, time and place.
Got it. Got it. Makes sense. Okay. All right. So, what advice would you give your younger self? Of course, you're already young, but what would you give your younger self?
All right, so I talked about my journey, right, to become a chiropractor.
Right.
Pick a career, not a major. Number one.
Okay.
Pick a career, not a major. If I would have known that before, I would have saved myself some time. I went into athletic training because I knew I wanted to work in sports. That was
Right.
it. I didn't really think much of it. I didn't know, I didn't even really know what they did. I thought it was more like personal training, which is, I think, is a lot of things that they get confused. It's the guys that run out on the field when people get injured.
Right.
And you know, I didn't want to do that. I don't know. It took me a while to realize it, but I just didn't want to do that. So I wish I would have kind of like really focused on what do I want to do instead of like what do I want to go to college for, you know,
Right.
like something
Okay.
like that. The other one would be buy some Bitcoin. Like, man, I had a buddy of
Boy,
mine.
right now, yes.
I had a buddy of mine in 2009 when it was like $1 a Bitcoin, and he was like, "Dude, just go ahead and get $20 of Bitcoin and just hold on to it forever." And I wish I would have did that. I would be very, very wealthy right now.
Oh, man.
Nice.
It's sky high right now. It's almost 100,000 a coin.
Right. It's crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah. But that's it. I would just pick a career, not a major. I feel like that would have really kind of like, that would have set me apart as far as, had a better focus of what I wanted to do.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, we got to ask him to raising the bar. Go ahead.
Wait, what about funny story?
We did that.
We did.
He gets
Oh yeah, you walked out for a second. Yeah.
he gets farted on.
I get farted on at least once a month.
Did you ever do that when you were?
She's never farted on me.
Oh, okay, good. All right. I'm just checking. Okay, wait. So hold on. Along that, and we may want to edit this out because now I'm just curious. So any clients that have come in and either they didn't bathe before they saw you, their hygiene is awful. They're like,
I have to give them,
touch this person.
because if I don't say anything, you will, right? Like I've had some issues. We've had some people where I'm like, dude, you reek in here. Like you have to do something.
Well, of course.
Yeah. And I feel bad because sometimes like people will just go around and just not say anything to people like that. But like I'm 1-to-1 in the room with you. Like there's no hiding it. Like I'm touching you. Like you got to get.
Okay, so there have been some people you go in, you're like, I don't want to touch. They haven't washed their hair in 3 months.
I have a sink in the room. I'll clean it.
Oh, you'll clean it. Okay.
But as far as like sometimes it's like if it gets bad enough, I'm like, hey, like.
Okay.
I'm just noticing, like, if I don't say something, who will, right? Like, people don't say anything nowadays, and it's like, I'd rather at least.
And if they're going to get pissed off, you don't want them as a patient or client anyway.
Yeah,
I mean, that's.
I have had to deny patients before. We had an incident where some lady came, filled out paperwork, went in the bathroom, and just destroyed it, and I was just like, "Ma'am, you have to leave. Like,
wow.
We're not seeing like."
Okay.
And came out like nothing happened, and I was like, "No, you pretty much destroyed the bathroom.
Right.
You got to go. Like, I'm not treating you."
Okay.
So we can pick and choose that stuff. You have the right to deny someone care if you need to.
Right. Okay.
Don't normally do that, but there are instances.
Right. Right. Okay. Okay. So we appreciate you coming on to our podcast, Raising the Bar.
Of course, yeah.
So how have you raised the bar professionally and or personally?
So professionally, for sure, we just, as much as we can, try to strive to be as humane, do the right thing, do what's right by the patient. Don't do all these extra treatments that are not necessary. Don't do all these extra visits. Do what's right by the person. You keep it simple. You keep it really effective. Talk to the person. Be one-to-one. I see so many people that people think that they're just a number. They go to these places and it's just like, oh, pop and leave.
Right.
Figure out what's going on. Like, be a little more personable than that, and that's what we try to do at our practice. We make sure that we're doing what's right by the person in front of you. Make sure you're paying attention, being present. A lot of people, the comments we see is like, it doesn't feel like a doctor's office when they come in. It feels like a home almost. We have aromatherapy going. Like, people are really laid back in the office. We have original hardwoods. We just got to make sure that we do and keep our standard and keep everything kind of the way we need to be doing it. And I think it gets lost in that in a lot of professions, not just chiropractic, just in medical doctor's office. I hear it all the time. Like, they're just like, they look at the chart, they don't look at the patient. And it's like, that's bad. You should be kind of one-on-one with your patient, They're coming for you for a reason. They're coming to see you for a reason. Make sure you're paying attention to that.
And I guess you're hiring your massage therapists that same way. I mean, they have to.
Everyone has that mindset.
Right, right.
From the moment you walk in the door to the front desk to everyone, like, we're paying attention to you.
Correct.
You're here for a reason. You're the reason we're here. We want to make sure we're doing right by you.
So your employees have to buy into the culture.
Yeah, and we're small enough there to where, like, we've had the same employees for a couple of years. Like, they already are part of the culture. They've immersed themselves.
Okay, good.
And that's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being on
course.
our episode of Raising the Bar.
Yeah, and we may need
Happy to
to.
be here.
We're going to do a
Oh, we're
field
going to do a
trip.
field trip. Oh, no, we definitely are.
Okay,
So we'll
we're
see
doing
you
a field
guys at the
trip.
field trip when Gary gets adjusted.
Yeah, well, stay tuned.
Thanks to our sponsor, the Ashmore Law Firm.
We specialize in probate, estate planning, family law, guardianship, personal injury, and civil litigation.
You can find us at ashmorelaw.com.
or by calling us at 214-559-7202
Again, that's ashmorelaw.com.
or calling 214-559-7202.